Well, I'm delighted to be joined today by Charles Feltman, executive coach and leadership development consultant, who has written this wonderful book that Michelle and I use often in our coaching with executives called The Thin Book of Trust. And it actually is a thin book of trust. And we're excited to have you with us today because I know you've just come out with the third edition of this, Charles. So welcome.
Thank you, Donna. And I just thought, I'll show my third edition here so
I love
people
it.
know that it looks a little different. But yes, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yes. Well, I'm curious how you got interested in trust because when we came across your material, it just caught our attention. But how did you get started in this topic? And
Well, so I guess the first time that I really sort of noticed that trust was something to pay attention to was when I was an undergraduate at university, and I got asked to get trained and be part of an agency that provided mediation services in the county that I lived in and the university was in. And I said, sure, I'll try that. I don't know, maybe I'll be okay at it. So yes, I got trained and started working with people who had disputes with each other. And very shortly, in fact, probably I was even prompted around this by the people who trained us, but very shortly I realized it was critical, A, for me to build trust with those people who were involved in the dispute or conflict. And then, of course, the more challenging aspect was to help them build enough trust with each other that they could actually work towards an agreement that they could all or both keep. So trust sort of stood out for me in that particular context. But then after I started working in companies, I kind of forgot about that. I forgot that was a kind of main thing and just started doing what everybody did, trying to figure it out. And realized after some years that we were all just trying to figure it out in each in our own ways. And that wasn't working all that well sometimes.
and trust is
So,
so often coming up in the conversations with executive teams. Yeah, it's a struggle. It seems
yeah,
like it's a struggle. Yeah.
yes. So, as I was doing my coach training, I decided I got out of the corporate world and decided to get into coaching and took a coach training program so that I could get certified by the International Coach Federation.
Mhm.
And in that program, one of the things that they talked about was trust. And they had this sort of framework with three different kind of distinctions for trust, or just ways of looking at how we as human beings assess each other around trust. And that just captivated me because I suddenly realized here's something that people can use as a way to actually intentionally go about building trust, maintaining it, repairing it. So I started using it with my clients, and sure enough, it worked. There was a piece missing for me that I couldn't quite, I knew there was something missing, but I didn't quite understand what it was until I discovered that there's this whole kind of world of people, academics in economics and psychology and sociology and neuroscience and some other fields as well, who all study trust and actually, do research on it and then publish the research in jury, publications that most of us don't ever read. But I got somehow got introduced to that and I started reading and I realized that those three areas, those three sort of distinctions show up over and over again when those people try and create their experiments or whatever. But there was a fourth one. And that fourth one they called benevolence. And I realized that that was the missing piece. So I added that to this framework that I use. And now I use all four, and it's even more effective.